and had held the dean hostage, or seized the office of President Kirk, rifled his desk, and copied his files. No one would have confused him with being an idealistic, committed crusader. On an individual basis, if someone demands that you grant him wealth or power that he has not earned, and which he can only obtain by threats of violence, one does not doubt for a moment that he is an extortionist. The act of a lone thug does not become legitimatized when he teams up with other hoodlums. As Ayn Rand noted in Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal, no individual can acquire rights by joining a gang. Quoting Miss Rand, quote, "Rights are not a matter of numbers, and there can be no such thing in law or in morality as actions forbidden to an individual but permitted to a group." Close quote. A second claim of the rebels. They admit they used force, but they claim that force was justified when peaceful tactics fail. The fundamental political principle that all men must respect is that no individual or group may initiate the use of force for any purpose whatsoever. To accept STS's alternative amounts to carte blanche for violence, and invites the complete breakdown of the rule of law. To understand the grotesque irrationality of STS's argument, consider the following. Imagine that there were a student chapter at Columbia of the Ku Klux Klan, which was protesting the proposed use of the new gym by Negroes. Say that the Klan tried through campus rallies and petitions to arouse the students, faculty, and administration to support their demands, but that their peaceful tactics failed. If this group then proceeded to seize university buildings and hold members of the administration as hostages, would anyone have condoned their use of force, or have called for negotiations or compromise? The principle, you see, is the same. The initiation of force to achieve one's political objectives is both immoral and illegal, regardless of whether the initials of the aggressors are KKK or SDS. Third, the rebels claim that they were justified in using force because the administration had refused to give them a hearing on their demands for change. A university, like a well-run business, should be interested in knowing whether it is satisfying its customers. If it provides students with incompetent faculty, or poor laboratories or libraries, or supports political policies which the students oppose, it is in the university's self-interest to maintain open channels of communication, so that grievances can be expressed and remedial actions considered. Students who are dissatisfied with any aspect of a university's policies have a right to peacefully protest and petition, and even, in extreme situations, to boycott classes or to organize a student strike. But they have no right to compel anyone else to listen to their demands, nor a right to force other people to go on strike with them by prohibiting access to classrooms or by creating a general climate of terror to intimidate those who would oppose them. Fourth, the rebels claim that since force is justified when peaceful tactics fail, therefore they should be granted full amnesty. The best single answer to this argument is provided by Professor Leonard Peikoff in his forthcoming book, Nazism and Contemporary America, The Ominous Parallels. Dr. Peikoff writes, quote, "The demand for amnesty on principle is the demand for the abdication on principle of all legal authority. It is demand for the formal sanction in advance of all future acts of force and violence, for the promise that such acts may be perpetrated hereafter with total impunity. It is a demand to institutionalize the appeasement of brute force as a principle of civil policy in our country." Close quote. Fifth, the rebels claim that the police represent violence and therefore should not be used on a college campus, which is a citadel of reason and persuasion. Here the rebels evade the fact that they were the ones who first resorted to violence. They obliterate the distinction between criminals who initiate the use of force and the police, whose proper function it is to retaliate with force, to restore peace, and to protect the rights of the victims. Sixth, the rebels' claim that their quarrel with the administration was purely an internal dispute. Therefore, the introduction of police represents meddlesome interference by outsiders. But, by the same reasoning, one could just as well conclude that if workers seize a factory, customers seize a store, or tenants seize an apartment building, these too are internal disputes. and do not justify calling in the police. However, in reason there cannot be any such concept as an internal dispute which allows someone to be victimized and prevented from calling the police. Those who violate property rights are scarcely in a position to claim that their conquered territory is private property, upon which the police may not enter. 7th. The rebels say they shouldn't be criminally prosecuted. After all, they say, they're only students, not criminals. One need only remember that it was Nazi students who set fire to university libraries and terrorized